What is going on, regulars? Today I am bringing you a video that I wasn't 100% sure I was going to make because I'm new to BookTube, and since I just did the new to BookTube tag at the beginning of October, and typically I think most BookTubers do their TBR for the month at the beginning, but I've seen some going up later, and I figured that if I'm gonna really be a part of the BookTube community, then I should get into the habit of doing things like the monthly TBR and in the month wrap up and all those things. So today is my October to be read pile. So first up on the list is actually a book written by a friend of mine named Lindsey. She wrote this little guide to the ambiguities of English called Go Home English, You're Drunk. It's really well done and funny, and has these like really nice illustrations done by Sean Crumb. I picked this book up. It came earlier, I think like last week. So I actually already have read this, but I'm going to read it again so I can review it, and I'm going to hopefully have that video up soonish. I've also joined the BookTube Reading Buddies group on Goodreads, and I've decided to take part in a couple of the group reads that they're doing for the month of October. So second up on the list is one of those books, which is The Bell Jar, which, as you can see by the little business card I'm using as a bookmark, I've already started it. But this was one of the group reads, so I'm gonna try 3 of the group reads. So we're gonna see how that goes. But yeah, so I've started that already. The Bell Jar I picked up in college. I used to do this thing where after I got the books that I needed for my courses, and after everybody else had gotten the assigned texts, I would kind of troll the bookstore and look at the other books that were required for other courses that I wasn't taking, and anything that looked interesting, if they had plenty of copies, I would pick one up, and The Bell Jar was one of those, because it's always been on my list to read at some point, and so I've had that since I was in college, but I'm finally going to give it a read. Next up is another of the group reads, is actually part of the spooky reads for October, and that is Stephen King's It, which this has been on my to-read list for a long time. This is my mother's copy of this book. She had this and Eye of the Dragon, also by Stephen King, and they'd just been sitting on the shelf collecting dust for years. And when I started reading Stephen King, I asked her, because I always saw these, so I asked her if I could, borrow them and read them at some point, and she was like, you know what, just take them. Because they literally were doing nothing on the shelf. I think she tried to read them, and she's not really a horror person, so she never really got into them. So they were just collecting dust. She was never going to read them, so she was like, yeah, you can have them. And third on the BookTube Reading Buddies group reads for this month that I'm going to partake in is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I actually just picked this up at the local library sale, which I will be talking about in a later video. And if you're curious as to why I've decided to do 3 group reads instead of just 1, well, that's because I constantly put too much on my plate, and I'm apparently a glutton for punishment, so I'm going to try to read all 3 of those this month. Next up is a graphic novel, and it's one that I'm trying to remember. I know I was with my friends. Oh, that's right. We were getting my friend Leanne into graphic novels because she was interested in reading them. So our friend Aaron and I went to Memory Lane, one of the local comic book shops here, and Aaron and I were trying to help her get started, like just find a couple of graphic novels that we thought she would like. And she and I actually both saw this one on the shelf, and we were both very interested in it, and neither of us picked it up that day. But it's been in my wish list for a while, and finally, 2 months ago, I think, I actually decided to go ahead and order it, and it came, and I've been sitting on it since, and I really want to get around to it. I keep prioritizing other books instead, but it is actually local, which looks like it's a really good book. It's heavy, thick, massive, but it's apparently a series of stories about a girl who is just kind of wandering around the country, and it's broken up into sections as to where she is in the U.S. But I'm really interested to read that because I've heard very good things, and it looked really, really interesting when Leanne and I first saw it. And last up on my TBR is a book that I've, again, had on my wish list for a while and finally went ahead and ordered it. This is actually the second time I've had to order this book. The first time was through a third-party retailer on Amazon, and they claimed they shipped it, and the book never came. So I wound up getting a refund and then had to wait a while for it to appear through another third party, but I finally got it. It actually arrived in the mail today. So I'm very happy to say I now have a copy of this book, and I'm very much looking forward to reading it. And that book is Natural or Supernatural by Martin Caidin. Martin Caidin, if you don't know, if you remember the $6 Million Man, the old TV series, Martin Caidin actually wrote the book that show was based on. The book is just called Cyborg, but the character is, I think, still Steve Austin. There might be like a slight name change. It might be something a little different. But they took the general idea of what became the $6 Million Man from Cyborg. And so there you have it. That is my October to-be-read pile. I am probably extending myself a little too far as to what I'll be able to read, but anything that doesn't, I guess I'll just toss it on November's pile. Also, hopefully by the end of the month, I will post a wrap-up to show how well I did. And I might actually, depending on what books I finish when I have time to film and what I'm posting, I might do reviews of one or two of the books on this list. I'm definitely doing one on Lindsey's book, the Go Home English You're Drunk, because that's something that, like, the minute I found out she had that book coming out, I was like, oh, that's going to be a video. So yeah, there you have it. That is my October TBR. So get a nice good look. It's daunting, but I think I can do it. Guess we'll see. Anyway, that is going to be all for me today. If you're wondering why this video is going up on a Monday, that's because I actually am going to post another video on Friday, which was supposed to go up last week, but there were last-minute filmings and didn't have time / energy to edit this week / weekend, so this video is going up before the other one, even though I filmed the other one first. But that one will be posted on Friday. I'm going to try something a little different. So hopefully you like. Let me know what you guys are reading down in the comments. Just let's talk. Let's talk books. What are you guys reading? What's interesting? Do you have any recommendations? I got too much to read as it is, but I will always add more books to my list because I love to read. So, let me know. So, as always, I hope you're all well, and I will see you next time. I'm gonna do this because I zoom in my videos a little, so that edge isn't gonna be there. But yeah, here is my October TBR. So, yeah.